I've got here a piece of cypress, I think. Pretty soft wood. This one's actually missing a little chunk there. That's because there was some ring shank there. So I think I got rid of all the ring shank. There's a couple little surface cracks across here, but like I said, they're surface. They don't go down into the grain at all. So we should take care of it. And the way I cut that was I pulled a shamrock off of the internet, free clip art, um, printed it, uh, put spray adhesive on the face of my wood, and stuck that on yesterday. This is a glue block. It's a cherry glue block that I've used for about a dozen similar projects, whether they be plates or things like this. And that's just to get us started because I want this side with this place on the side to be, I want that to be my bottom. So I've got a glue block on the front just to get us started. And I used JJ's method. I've been doing it ever since I made this glue block. And like I said, I've used this for over a dozen different pieces, but I put medium CA. I put this on here where I wanted it, drew a circle, put medium CA in the circle, put my accelerator on the glue block, stuck my glue block down in the circle. If I get that up, nah, you can almost see, yeah, right there, you can see where I drew the circle around there. So, it it goes where I want it. So that's how we're going to start. Let me change cameras and we'll get going here. So I've got to change chucks to begin with. I need this chuck later, but I don't need it right this minute. Forgot about this part. Okay, I'm not going to take that far away because, like I said, we're going to use it again here in just a moment. Got to use my 4-inch jaws to get this particular glue block. And just, I like a lot of people use just a little snap at the very end just to lock that on. It typically makes it pretty secure, so I don't have to worry about it at all. And in fact, I'm going to change angles again. I want you to see something here. And I don't think we talk about this nearly enough, and it is important. You can see the gap between my jaws. That means I've got pretty close to a perfect circle there. And when you got a perfect circle in your jaws, you've got the best grab on your glue block or on your tenon as you can get. So that's about as close as I could get it. This glue block was very carefully measured out so that we could get that. So anyway, that's enough of that. I just wanted to show you. I just think that's important enough to make a point of it. So as you can see, it's irregular. We're going to have a lot of air, especially as we get further into the project. I do want to make sure I'm not hitting anywhere, and I'm trying to. It's actually hitting on the banjo, not on the tool rest. There we go. Didn't need to be so far in. I told you last week I did replumb my vacuum system with hard plastic, and it so far is working a treat. I'm tickled with the way it's working. Let me get my face shield, my UVEX. In fact, I'm going to pull out just a little bit here. Come on, there you go. There's my UVEX. I was going to show you another one. It's not too dissimilar from what Scott has, except mine is one piece instead of two. I got that from an ad on Facebook. The eye goggles themselves are pretty, I don't remember what the numbers are, but they are impact resistive. They're certified. And then you've got the built-in respirator as well, 2 filters that are replaceable. And I've used it a few times. I really like it. It's very, very lightweight. I was using it mostly when I was still wearing my contacts, but haven't worn them for quite a while now. May be able to work on my glasses. I've just not tried. So anyway,
Good
let's
info.
get to the, come on, let's move. Well, I don't know why. I'm wonder if my batteries are starting to get low. There we go. All
There it
right.
is.
They shield down. I'm gonna turn my speed down just to get started. I know it's not hitting. We've already checked it, but I still like to turn it down and crank it up slowly then. Got a little vibration. See if we can go past it. No, we're not going to go past it. So I'm going to slow back down. That's at 500 right there. We'll get it started and then we can probably turn it up here in just a minute. I'm just starting out with some fairly light cutting. I don't want to get too heavy, especially out here on the very edges. Um, the weak spot is that stem. The soft wood anyway, and that stem gets pretty thin at the base. This is one time. So after I get started on the corner, I will go straight across, get a good flat bottom. That way I can mark for my mortise. I'm going to use a mortise on this one instead of a tenon. It's probably flat enough. I've already gotten my caliper set for the outside of my 50 millimeter jaws. Left leg only. I know you can't see that, but
Yeah, we can see it.
now you
See
can.
it better now. Now you can
Yeah,
see it better.
yeah. So we're going to do a mortise there. And I'm going to start my mortise with my parting tool. And I know we've explained it here several times um, that it, whether it's a mortise or a tenon, it doesn't have to be huge. It just needs to be shaped properly, sized properly, shaped properly. So I'm going to get the inside of this real nice and cleared out. Then I'm going to grab my half-inch parting, my half-inch skew. I'm going to slightly dovetail that. Doesn't take a whole lot, just a little bit. If this is, let me turn that off and yeah, that's an eighth of an inch. I want to clean that up just a little more. So I'll do that with my bowl gouge. Coming back to the outside. Okay, I don't want to mess up my dovetail there. So get this out of the way real quick. I'll just give that a quick sand. I'm going to start with 180. Um, you'll see why here in just a second. Why I want to sand it now. I'll come back and do my bottom T totally separate. But this time I want to go ahead and do it. Since I've already got my sandpaper in my hand, I'll go on up from 180, 240. Then I pulled out a piece of 320 the other day and just happened to have it still. I typically stop at 240 if I'm going to use my abrasive paste, but we'll go ahead and use it tonight. Don't know if I use abrasive paste on it or not. Let's see. I think I've got my phone already queued up. Do, 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 do. Yes, I do. Let's see. Let me put my shamrock straight up and down. I'm going to go ahead and fix my logo in here. Holy moly. That's not good. That's too big. Way too big. Oh, I know why. You got to put, I use a laser pecker and it's only got a 20 centimeter focal length. I had not brought that up yet. There we go. 20 centimeters. Now it'll look right. Just the height of it. And I just want to go ahead and do this now so that I don't have to come back to it. Plus, some people just like to see how it works. I'm looking away from it. I'm looking toward my computer screen, which is off to the right.
Quick question, Doug. Do you
Yeah,
adjust the height of the image? Are you adjusting it with the programming?
in the programming, yes. I didn't have to
Okay,
touch the laser at all.
gotcha. Okay,
In fact, with this particular laser, if I were to push on this in any direction, it cuts it off and I have to kind of start over. It's almost like a
okay,
reset. So this is a pretty neat way of doing things. And they give you, you don't have infinite vertical and horizontal adjustment in the program, but you've got enough. I've never come across a situation if I was anywhere in line, anywhere close to being in line, that it was a problem.
gotcha. Thank you.
Normally, what I do is I burn my logo in, which is what we're doing now. Then once that's done, I go out and come back with a text box and I'll put in the um, kind of wood and then the month and year. I've had customers in the store pick up a piece. Oh, you put serial numbers on all your pieces. No, I don't. I put it, that's a date code. And it's all it is the month and the year. 2 digits for each. So a 4 digit number. This piece will have 0226 on it. Same as the heart. It's got 0226 on it as well. Okay. It's about 2/3 done. There's also some adjustment or there's a lot of adjustment on the size of what you're putting in. Um, Even at 20 centimeters, it will burn up to a 4-inch design. This is 1 inch, which is what I typically do my logo at. Then depending on what the wood and date look like, sometimes I'll do them a little smaller, like 21, 22 millimeters instead of 25. And you see the end of my dust collection tube right there. Um, Most of the time, I'll go ahead and turn my dust collector on, and it draws the smoke right out of the way.
Yeah, I was going to ask how bad the smoke is.
Not bad. You can see what it is, but it's just that quick. It's done. But the smoke is not bad, especially if all you're doing is a logo or your name or what have you. Um, and what I can do then is come back with my 320, just hit that real quick, and that takes a little bit of char off the surface. That's all it takes. And as far as I'm concerned, that recess is done, done. Now I can move that back out of my way, bring my tool rest back up. We can get back to having some fun turning. All right, get a little speed back in here. That's up to 800 now. It's turning pretty well. Let's see, I want to make a mark here. I want to mark my foot where I want my foot to be at. I think I'm going to put the outside of my foot right about there. Yeah, that's going to work nicely. Didn't quite meet the two ends, but that's close enough. I can see it and I know where I'm going. I like to keep my handle low, and that gives me the best opportunity for a nice shearing cut. A little too deep out on this wing. I'm also looking over here at the shadow line to see how thick the edge is, which I got plenty of wood with this particular length. That heart bowl that I turned yesterday, that started out as a 3/4 inch piece of pine. Used to be a chopping board. Yeah, more like a cutting board. Cutting board, not a chopping board. All right. There it is. Wondering what I did with my. I go to the top. You can kind of see the shape that I've got on it at this point. Kind of hard to see with those wings flopping around like that. While I'm here, let me go ahead and come back in here. We're going to kind of round this over, make a bit of a bead out of it, which means we come around on this side and do basically the same thing. As Dane said, you know, we've all got ways of doing things. Um, One thing I've discovered, and most of y'all have as well, there's more than one way to get something done.
That's right.
So you don't offend me by saying, why didn't you do this? You know, 'cause, I did it this way because this is my way. Yeah, I'm looking straight down the bottom here and I see there's a little unevenness to my foot. There we go. Get a nice cut from the outer edge to inner edge. I think I'm happy with that shape on the bottom. We'll thin it out here in just a moment when we turn it around. We'll slow it down, sand it just a little bit. And I'm going to turn this vac system on. If it gets too loud, Dane, let me know and I'll mute myself.
Yeah, no problem. Zoom will muffle it out. We won't hear it.
Yeah, it usually does. Um,
Yeah, it's all good.
for that matter, the Jabra headset muffles it as well. Let me get, here we go. This is my Captain Eddie special sander. when Eddie announced that he was going to get out of the tool business, including the magnets and sleeves for these inertia sanders. I bought 3 or 4 sets, and they're still sitting over there in the envelope he sent them to me in. They were meant to be Christmas gifts. And I think 1 or 2 of them might be Christmas gifts. The rest I'm going to make into tools for myself. I'm just that stingy.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, I like
We're all
this one
like
so
that.
much. Yeah, I like this one so much. Um, I want to make at least one more for myself. It's on an angle instead of straight. This one is just
Right.
straight, which has served me well, and it did what I wanted it to do. But I want an angle one as well.
And I'm sure there's some directions on how to make one of those on our website as well.
Probably. And if there's not, it's so simple. If you get your bronze, you want a bronze bushing that's just bigger than this is just a regular sanding mandrel. You want a bronze bushing is just bigger than that. So this slips in it very easily. And you can find um, the magnetic bearings online, just a round ball bearing. It's slightly larger than the bronze bushing. So you drill your hole, you put the bronze bushing in. Excuse me, drill your hole, put the magnet in, then your bronze bushing, and you're done. You glue it all together. It really is that simple. The nice thing about Eddie selling them was that it was all in one place. I'm just getting right up against my little foot there by hand. My handle is no big deal. It was a piece of mesquite that I cut off of something else. Golly, it's been several years ago now, but it makes a super good handle. Okay, that's enough sanding. Turn everything off.
Captain Eddie has a video on how to make that sander, and on one end it's straight, on the other end it's at an angle.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, that's a great video too, and he explains it so awfully well. And if I'm not mistaken, he tells you the manufacturer of the bearings in that video. So there we go. There it is. Okay. Close those jaws down. Then I can expand into my recess. Now, those of you who remember when JJ showed using CA glue for glue blocks, he had some issues. Those were not his issues. They were issues with the wood he had. It really does work as easy as he said it did. I put the bevel toward the glue block away from my workpiece. Let's see if I change views, you can see what I'm doing. You know, sometimes I don't think it's the turner that has demoitis. I think it's the equipment. Anyway, I put the bevel out. Again, it's toward the glue block. The flat side is against my workpiece. One quick wrap, maybe three, pops right off. I happen to still have the paper on, so the paper came loose, but I'll sand that off on my disc sander and I'll use it again. I've used that, like I said, it's over 15 times I've used it, I'm sure. Okay. Bring that up, get that out of my way. Gonna keep that block of wood handy though, because the mouse seems to work okay with it. That's close, but that's clear of everything. Like I said before, this is right here is the weak spot. This particular clip art had a little bit wider neck down here at the bottom of the stem. So we should not have any problems. But if we do, we'll chalk it up to demoitis. All right, we're able to get more speed now. We're up to 1600 RPMs. It is a lot of air, so you want to keep your hands and fingers on your side of the tool rest. You don't want to cross that line. It will, as they say, leave a mark. Don't ask me how I know. All right, now that I've got a fairly flat face, I'm going to start working just a little bit at a time out here. Because I'm going to go down, I'm not going to go paper thin, but I'm going to go fairly thin on it. This wood is dry. And it's interesting. This project lends itself to some later embellishment of all sorts. You saw my heart a while ago. I embellished it with some red dye from Salisbury Crafts. Even though those are water-based dyes or stains, whatever you want to call them, they are vibrant. Yeah, I want to go a bit thinner than that. Let you see what I got. Well, it just changed on by itself. No, it didn't. Okay, you can see what I got there. That's, what is that, quarter of an inch maybe? Yep, right at it. My calibrated eyeball's getting better, I think. So we'll go back, take that down just a little more. I'm not going to take it paper thin by any means, but I do want it thinner than a quarter. That might be thin enough right there, just that one extra cut. Yeah, I think so. Okay. Let's work our way down another inch or so. This cypress is a soft wood. So when I'm just doing bulk removal, it's it's fine, but when you get to the fine stuff, you really need to slow down, take your time. I'm going to go just a little bit further, then I'm going to come back and sand all of these wings before they get too flimsy. In fact, I think I'm going to do something I probably shouldn't do. Do a shear scrape on this very lightly. Very lightly. Oh yeah, that made a good bit of difference. Still got a good bit of sanding to do. Let's do one more batch of cuts here, and then we'll sand. This will get us past all those cutouts, I think. Make sure I'm not getting thicker as we go. I am getting thicker. Got to come back and thin the lower section down. All right, I think we're past the cuts now, and it ought to be got a little chatter on that wing. In fact, I got it most all the wings. We're right at the bottom of those cuts. Let me grab my drill and we'll sand those up real quick. They don't take long with the sander. These are like most projects of this nature. They you just gotta take some time and get the work done. It's you can't speed it up too much. Get this out of my way. It's there. Now it's out of my way. Lock my headstock so it doesn't spin out on me. Now I'm feeling to make sure I'm even there and I don't have any tool marks that are still in there. There's still a good number here. Everybody understands why I'm doing this with the stationary, right? Sanding this with these wings, these leaves, and the stem while that's spinning can be done, but it's very difficult. I can get a better job quicker. Yep. Well, okay. Phew. Just my sandpaper. I thought rip something off the piece there. We'll skip to 120 because it does not have Velcro on the back. Go to 180, which is too high a jump, but it worked.
Your sander was telling you to change paper.
I'm sorry, what?
I said your sander was telling you to change the paper.
Good, I'm done. Time to go.
Yeah, move up. Yeah, so if you had the lathe powered and you were trying to power sand there, you'd be making flat spots on the sides of the shamrocks.
You very well could. Very well could. You could also tear your sanding pad up. You could tear the
Yep.
shamrock up. Um, this is just safer, and it's really with this wood, it's just as quick. I think that's a bad place in the wood right there that I'm trying to get. Okay, that's all the way around with that grit. And I'll do all these edges by hand at the end because they'll be thinner at that point and real easy to do. I got some of the outside curves on my disc sander when I cut it out. So they're not so bad, but it's these inner parts that I could not get to with the sanding disc. Somebody sent me a message the other day. Said, "What do you mean by the sanding disc?" It's a 10 or 12-inch sanding disc on the shop smith. Got a permanent home there. Um, my shop smith pretty well stays in one configuration with the jigsaw and the sanding disc hooked up all the time. It doesn't take too awful long to go through the sanding process. Um, Unlike everybody else, I really don't like sanding, but it's one of those things. If you don't sand, if you don't take your time sanding, you regret it at the end.
Right? Put in the time to turn it, at least get a good finish.
Yeah, yeah. And some woods just don't turn smoothly. Um, Cypress is one of those. Doesn't matter how sharp I get my tools, how much I'm concentrating on slicing and not gouging. Um, I just can't get it to come out smooth. So sanding it is, and it sands pretty easy if I just go through it and take my time. And it takes a little longer if I go back and I find a spot. I'll go back and get it done while I'm at it. And I've got that wing right there's got a couple of spots on it that I want to get before we go on. All right, extract everything. I think we're okay now. Still got that mark that was in the wood. Maybe a bug hole. Yeah, I think we're okay for now. All right, let's go on. We'll get that out of the way. Let's work our way on down to the center here. Well, it'd be helpful to have a tool rest, wouldn't it? Somebody was about to remind me, weren't you?
Yes, I was close, but I knew you were
I
just waiting. You were just waiting. You were
was
seeing who
testing
was
you.
paying attention. Seeing who was paying attention.
That's it.
There's a few people asleep. They fell asleep. They fell asleep before the demo.
Yeah, yeah. Can't imagine who that might have been. about this point, I typically start slowing down, making these practice cuts. Heard somebody the other day, well-known turner, can't remember who it was now, but they're well-known. He said, I don't have time to practice. If you're turning, you got time to practice.
That's one way to say it, right?
Yeah. Now this, to me, these last 6 to 12 cuts, taking the bulk out, those should be practice for your last cut. In
Well, that's
fact,
what I say. Your finishing cut should be every cut anyhow. That way
yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
finishing cut's never your
right.
last cut. Then
In
you're
fact,
not scared to
yeah,
make that last cut.
when I've taken 2 lessons in my life. No, that's a lie. I've taken 4, but I was in my second lesson, and the guy said, when you're at this point of a bowl, and you can see there's just a little bit of the center left, he said, go ahead and sharpen up while you still got a couple of cuts to make. That way, your first one can be practiced with the new edge,
Yep.
and you can break that burr, and then your last cut can be your final one and be perfect. In fact, I'm going to move my tool rest, get it a little closer. Make sure my leaves aren't hitting anything, but getting closer to the center so that my tool rest is up. I want my tool rest to be as close to the center as I can without the wings hitting. And then before we say this is the final cut, we're going to do one more thing. Now I've tried real hard to keep the bottom of this as a curved shape. Move all my chuck keys. I want to get this piece down. Goes that way, up against my headstock. And then this piece, I push it till this dowel goes up against the bottom of my bowl. I look down here between the two to see what the gap is. This edge of this back of the dark brown piece is in line with the end of my jaws. I know that because I dropped a square down. I've got 1/2 inch from the bottom of my peak. No, wait a minute. I went to the tip forward. There we go. I've got quarter-inch between the base of this piece and this measuring piece. So I've got a 1/4 inch from the bottom of my bowl to the face of my jaws. It doesn't matter how thick the wood is. I know, well, it tells me I've got a 1/4 inch of wood because that's the distance between the face of this and the face of my jaws. So I know
Right.
exactly where my bottom is. That is, in my way of thinking, that's better than any depth gauge that you can come up with
So,
because I know
and
exactly
so
what I
with
got.
and so with that, Doug,
Yeah,
could you take some pictures of that and show how you measure and do a write up for the newsletter for a tips
sure,
and tricks?
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
that'd
shared.
be a good one for the newsletter.
Yeah, I have actually shared that on tips and tricks before, but it's been quite a while. I do have
Yeah.
a lump right here, a ridge that goes all the way around. So I'm going to take my bowl gouge and just clean that up real gently, not trying to go any deeper. In fact, I'm going to fade out Get thinner and thinner as I go. Perfect. Yeah, I shared that quite a while ago. But yes, I'll be glad to write that up and take a few pictures. Very
Okay.
simple jig to make up. All mine was 100% scrap, and so you can do the same thing. It's all one by scrap and a small piece of dowel. There it is. Couldn't find my inertia sander. Actually, I'm not going to use my inertia sander. I'm going to use my drill because that's the inside, and the inside just gets so stinking slow there at the very bottom. Oh, I left out one of my pieces a while ago. Or did I? I did. Okay. Again, I'm going to turn on my dust collector. Now I am sanding on the far side because it's coming up and my drill is going down. And I'm also tipping the bottom out so that as this comes up, I'm only sanding with the trailing edge of my sandpaper. That's how I'm getting away with it on the inside. All right. Oh, no. What did I do with my sandpaper? I set it down and can't find it. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
I
it
know
is.
I'm the only one that does that though, right?
No, you have to be the only one. I don't do that. I've never heard anybody else say that.
Right, right.
Is it
I
on your
do it all
headstock?
the time, Doug.
That was the first place I looked was the headstock. Nope, that's not it. That's got to be it. Yeah. Oh, it's in the floor. I see it now. No matter. It was all
Yeah,
used already anyway.
it'll
Time
be
to
there
change
tomorrow.
out. Yeah, yeah.
Fresh sandpaper always works best.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Fresh sandpaper always works better anyway.
Oh, okay. Yeah, fresh is always better. Now, I did leave my speed up on this, primarily because of all those open gaps. When you got gaps, speed is, to a certain point, speed is your friend. See what we got. I think I'm liking what I'm seeing. I'm going to turn the dust collector off. Then I'm going to come back with my 120 and hit these. I see my back sides need a little more sanding too. Just like a few weeks ago when we talked about um, how to take a rugged old piece of wood and prepare it for turning. We came up with that one piece that I was showing as an example. We came up with half a dozen different ways of prepping that real quick. And it's the same way with turning this kind of thing. I'm sure we can come up with several things several ways of doing it that might make good sense. Then again, what might make good sense to me may not make good sense to you, and vice versa. What makes good sense to you may not make sense at all to me. And that's okay. It's when we get militant about it. I thought we broke something. That's just the flex in the wood. So I do need to be careful sanding. I'm glad I'm done for the most part. I think I stayed away from this type of project for a long, long time because there is hand sanding involved, and I couldn't figure out how to do it mechanically. But when you get down below a 1/4 inch, it really doesn't take all that much hand sanding, as you can see. A little bit right there in the very bottom.
I saw a guy do a trick with gluing his sandpaper to a popsicle stick.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's one way of getting little crevices and stuff done. I guess it would help on this even. There's one
I
little
know.
1/4 inch spot right there of that broken out piece. So I'll just sand it off, make it nice and smooth.
Doug, does your indexing wheel have an automatic lock, or are you pulling it to lock it?
I'm pulling it to release it.
Okay, it
And
just
then
looks like it's doing it automatically. I'm like, whoa, that's a nice indexing wheel.
it would be nice. No, I pull
Yeah.
it out. It's on a spring, and so I
Okay.
pull it out to release it. And when I want to, let me get this so you can see it right there, maybe. When I want it to freewheel, I pull it out. You can't see it because my hand's in the way. I pull it out and turn it, and then
Ah,
there's another hole over here that just barely holds the pin. Pin's on the outside. So that
okay.
holds it. So now it's free. If
Ah,
I pull it out and twist it toward me, there it's
Yeah,
popped
lock.
in to lock.
that's nice. That's nice.
It's a pretty good system. It's not a true spindle lock. It's an indexing pin, but it works. So I'll probably well, in fact, when I changed this motor out to give it the to put this, well, you can't see it, to put my electronic speed control on it, I had to change out the motor, which meant pulling everything out. I did not have to change the indexing at all, but when I pulled the motor out and all the pulleys that are inside, pulled them out, I could see that pin in there, and the pin is worn. I've only had this lathe for 20 years. The 1624 had just come out when I got it. So yeah, I've had it a long time. I've had it so long, my serial number is only 4 digits.
Yeah.
Hit these back sides real quick while I'm here and thinking about it. If we got time, I'd like to do one more thing with it before we
Oh, you
close.
got plenty of time, Doug. Plenty of
Okay.
time. Don't rush.
I've got one more little thing I'd like to do with this just to give you all an idea. Now, one of those ring shanks is still there. Ring shanks, ring shakes. Now, that one doesn't need it. Thank goodness. Yeah, I think we're okay, at least for this portion of it anyway. All right, get this. I like to go ahead and take my sandpaper off the pad as well, just because um, I never know what I'm going to use it for next, and if I need a fresh piece or what. So I just go ahead and take it off, and that way I don't waste any sandpaper either. I do try to live by the adage of
Cheapest part of turning.
well, use sandpaper like somebody else has paid for it.
Yep.
That right there is what I'm looking for.
Yep.
I go through some sandpaper. I've had people say, "Oh, you could use that sandpaper 3 or 4 more times." No, not really. Let me make sure everything
Nope.
is okay. More sandpaper on the floor. I live by that adage too. This is what I wanted to do. It's going to be a shamrock. Let's make it green.
What kind of dye are you using?
This
Yeah,
is a
what is that?
water-based.
That is a great color. What is that?
This is green, just the basic green from Salisbury Crafts. He is in Australia. He came up with this, wanting to make a marker basically for children, which he did a great job with. And I am right now wishing I had to put a glove on. It soaked right through into my.
That's what we all say after it soaks through.
After it's too late, but it is water-based, so it will wash off. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
I voted.
It's the luck of the Irish, Doug.
That's it. That's it. Anyway, water-based colors, um, totally non-toxic, washable. Um, so we're working on, I'm working with him trying to get a shipper to the US. Hopefully we can get that done soon. He had it all worked out, and the company went into what they call in Australia administration or administratorship. Basically, they went bankrupt. So he's looking for a new shipper that won't cost an arm and leg. That's got to be, it is. That's a week from one of those ring shakes. Shakes. Spit the word out here in a minute. There, that's better. I was showing this stuff to my dad, and he says, I was at his house in his shop using his lathe. He says, "You don't worry about that stuff getting on your lathe and on your chuck." I said, "Dad, no, I don't. It'll wash."
Doug, does it come in that spray bottle?
It comes in that bottle. The sprayer on top is an extra piece.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Which, yeah, I'm with you. I love the spray bottle. It works so nicely. Okay. You see what I'm after here. I'm just getting a shamrock, and I did not put any black. I could have put the black on first, sanded it back, but I really didn't want to do that. But that's exactly how I got. Make sure I got green off my fingers. Then I can pick this other one up. That's how I got this red. That's just straight out of the bottle. And it is a vibrant red. For a water base, that's pretty amazing. Usually you have to go to an alcohol base to do that. But there you have it, folks. I will, this will dry completely. I've got to decide. I probably won't do anything else with it because it has a crack. It goes right across here, which is too bad. It's ring shake. There's in the cypress. This tree was full of it. Every piece I've picked up has had that ring shake in it. So I was hoping to get away with it. I thought I had, but it's got one. Like I said, it goes from right through there.
You're a brave man for turning it in spite of seeing the ring shake, man. That's
Well, like I said, I thought we were going to get past it, and we did get past the one I was looking at. This is a different one. So
I've thrown away pieces of American chestnut because the ring shake was so bad.
yes,
Broke
yes.
my heart.
Every once in a while, you find a tree that when it has been felled, whether it's in a storm or sometimes it's just a tree that was landed on hard ground, or sometimes it's just because it's been in a lot of wind. It causes those cracks to go right along the grain. Those streaks are all grain. That's what you're seeing there. It brought the grain out, even that green. So pretty stuff. But anyway, there you have it. There's your shamrock turned. People say, "Oh, you can't do that." Yes, you can. With this, it just takes a little patience to let your tool do the work and not try to force anything. If you force it, your tool is going to get in between here, and you'll break that off in a heartbeat, or break your tool, one or the other.
Doug, what put on there?
Hey, Doug, is,
Wait a minute,
is
wait a
okay?
minute, wait a minute. Sue was in the middle of something here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Say, Doug, what do you put on there to make it permanent after it dries?
Good question. What I would do if I was going to finish this completely out, what I would do, I'd have it coated front and back if I wanted to do the back. And then once it's completely dry, probably give it like overnight or 12 hours or something, a good sanding sealer over the top of that.
Okay.
And then whatever finish I wanted to do, whether I wanted to do abrasive paste and wax or lacquer or, a clear enamel, whatever I wanted to use. But sanding sealer on top of this would make it semi-permanent.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, well, I'll tell you this too. Even with sanding sealer, if I went back on top of this with abrasive paste after a sanding sealer, my paper towel would come off green. I can guarantee it.
Okay.
But it's not enough. You'd never see it on here. You'd not notice the difference on here. Don't ask
What
me
kind
how
of
that
stain was
works.
that?
This is called Salisbury Crafts. Right now, there is not a distributor in the US. We're working on that. I'm trying to work with Jay on getting that taken care of. You might be able to order it out of England. I think there's somebody in Canada. I don't know who these folks are. But like I said, I'm working with him. We're trying to get a distributor here in the US. I may have more news for you on that.
Okay.
I know I'll have news for you come level up. But before then, I may or may not, and I'll let y'all know here at Wood Wide World Turners if I find out anything about it.
Could I ask a question, Doug?
Yeah, Al, what's up?
Okay. I mean, yeah, we all know you, and you're a really good turner. But you know what was like really, I have to ask you is now the piece was at least what 2 inches thick.
Yeah, thereabouts.
Yeah. What did you use to cut that and make that shape?
Bandsaw.
What kind of blade? What kind of blade? Now, I understood how your pattern was, but I mean, I have a 4 horsepower bandsaw here, and I mean, so I mean, you had like what, a 1/4 inch blade?
1/4 inch blade, yes. 1/4 inch.
Okay.
I think it was 6 teeth per inch. I don't remember what the set on it is. It's a Steerit blade. They're not expensive blades. In fact, I like the Steerits much better than the Timberwolf blades that everybody just rants and raves about that cost almost 3 times as much as the Steerit blades.
Yeah. That, I mean, just the cutout alone, I mean, when I saw at least 2 inches, that was,
Yeah.
you know what, even a 1/4 inch blade, that's some work for that blade and
Well,
that saw.
again, just like with turning it, Al, let the blade do the work. It's
Yeah,
not something you
right,
zip, zip, zip and you're
right.
done. This probably
No,
took
no, right.
me 10 minutes or so to cut it out with the bandsaw. And I was taking my
Mhm.
time partly because of that, but also I wanted these edges to be as smooth as they could be straight off the saw, so I didn't have to do as much sanding.
Right. Yeah. Hey, very enjoyable, Doug. Thanks a lot, man.
Hey, you're welcome. Any other questions?
Yeah, when you first started, what kind of radius and how far did you come up on the back of the bowl? Did you come to the center of your 2 inch stock, or did it a little bit further than the center? You know
To
what
do
I'm talking about?
the recess?
Well, say from your foot up to the outside edge of your clover there, how big of a radius and how far did you come up this on the stock? When you first started out with the, say, I don't know how thick it was, whether it was an inch and a half or 2 inches, from your foot to the outside radius, how far did
I
you?
just barely, I did my recess. I barely faced this off just so I got a nice smooth surface. And
Okay.
then,
Okay, so from your foot, how much of a radius did you come out to the outside edge on your stock?
yeah, I'm measuring now to see what I ended up with. I ended up at 1 inch and about 9/16 from the base to the top. So if that tells you what you're looking for.
Yep.
So I cut, I cut a good 3/4 of an inch off the top altogether.
Okay.
But that was to my taste. I did my recess, got my foot together, and I made this curve what was pleasing to my eye. Then I turned it around, and I had this edge was 1/2 to 3/4 inch thick when I got done, and I just took it down to where I liked it. I started, working it down, and I just did inch by inch because I knew these edges would get flexible as I cut. So, as I got them thinner, they were going to get flexible.
Okay, thank you. Great job.
That looks darker on that camera, doesn't it? But that's still that bright green. Just the camera.
Nice demo, Doug. Thank you.
Let me tell you, I just thought of something else I could do. This is flexible enough where that crack is.
Yeah.
I can pull it open, get some CA down in there, some 3406, and then push it back down, hold it for about 60 seconds, and that may be salvageable.
Yeah.
But before I finish it, before I put in wax, I will come back and put Cypress 0226 on there below my logo. And by the way, part of doing that was to kind of rub it in Dane's face. Get your laser pecker out, Dane, and start working with it.
Yeah, Dane.
But anyway.
Muted, Dane.
Anything
Can't
else?
hear you, Dane.
Oh, is he
He's,
Billy Aiken?
he's mouthing off to you.
A lot. It worked, Doug, because a lot of people had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife says that's so
Including
cool, but I
myself.
wish they changed the name. I wish they changed the name too, but that's beside the point.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I've got my April Fool's piece ready. I'm ready for April Fools.
There you go.
There you go.
A bit to the eye of the rogue.
So,
Nice job, Doug.
yeah. So I know when I turn irregular shapes, and after I cut them out on the bandsaw, I always sand the block to make sure all the surfaces are nice and fine while it's big before I put it on and turn it. So that's an option also.
Absolutely. And like I said, the only reason I don't do that is because it's a whole lot less sanding if you wait till it's that thick. My sanding's a whole lot easier when it's 1/4 inch thick or less than it is when it's 2 inches. But I've done what you're talking about. The first heart bowl that I did, I sanded it before I turned it. And that's when I decided I won't do that again.
But it depends, and again, it depends on the cut from the bandsaw too. So
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I hear you.
Y'all can probably see how that dye is starting to dry toward the center now. It's drying quite nicely. It doesn't take a long time to dry. And if I could leave this on the lathe and prop my hair dryer up on it. I was saying yesterday, the only use I have for a hair dryer at all is to dry stuff on the lathe, whether it's glue or paint or stain or what have you, dye. I can prop that thing up and blow right dead center on this real easy. just walk off and do something else for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and it works just fine.
Right.
So when you put the glue block on the, was that in the middle of the uncut blank, or was that okay?
Yeah, I had my diagram on the face on the top side, and I could kind of gauge where the center, where I wanted the center to be. I set it on there, adjusted it, and I even measured from side to side and made sure I was pretty well centered. And then I held it down with my left hand, drew a circle around with my right hand while I was holding it. And then I could take it off and I could put it right back in there in that circle. So I put the glue on the wood. This particular case, I put it on the paper.
Got it.
And then put my accelerator on the glue block, and then very carefully set my glue block right dead in the center of that circle.
What did you what kind of adhesive did you do for your pattern?
Spray adhesive.
Okay.
So, there's several brands out there. I think mine happens to be the 3M. It doesn't matter. Any spray adhesive works very, very well. And that was just printer paper. No big deal. In fact, with the other heart bulb, the 3-dimensional heart bulb box, as the guy made it into on the video that Al was referring to, he said that printer paper was the best. It's the toughest, but still separates. When you're gluing those pieces together and want to separate them, he says use printer paper. That's the best to use because it's got enough body to it. It holds together. It won't come flying apart on you. He had several when he was first experimenting that flew apart on him. And eventually he tried printer paper, and that seemed to work the best. So,
okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, just food for thought. Go fall asleep, Brenda.
She's sleeping again.
Brenda was attentive all evening.
Yeah. She just looked like her head was about to nod off there.
I'm getting tired, but I'm not sleeping.
There you go. Any other questions before I'll just let it go? I mean,
hey, outstanding demo, Doug. Thank you for inviting us into your shop and putting on a wonderful demonstration tonight. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that are going to emulate this in the coming weeks.
Sure. Feel free to send me an email or a text if you need to.